Hey guys, it's time for our writing lesson today. Yesterday we began writing our informational book about how to dye eggs, and we're going to pick up where we left off. So we did step 1, hard boil the eggs yesterday. Step 2, make dye for the eggs. So in your notebook where you made this writing, I want you to get your notebook. We're going to add 2 more steps, our final steps for today. And so if you remember, we had our informational writing checklist that we went through. We had to think of an idea, and we went ahead and kind of already had our idea about dyeing eggs. And we would write and draw true facts about our topic. So far our facts have been correct. And so we're going to add some more facts today. So we've got step 1, step 2. So now in your books you're going to do step 3. The reason I'm having you write it in your book is because you can write it neatly in your book and then transfer it to your notebook. Write it in your notebook, and then you can transfer it to the little book you're reading or writing about how to dye eggs. So today, step 3 says, decorate the eggs with crayons. This is going to be our longest sentence that we're going to write. So we're going to say decorate, D-E-C-O-R-A-T-E. Decorate this is a sight word you should know, T-H-E. Decorate the eggs. Decorate the eggs with crayons. Decorate the eggs with crayons. That's step 3. All right, we only have one more step to write. Step 4, and I actually didn't do that right with my P, so I gotta fix it. Step 4. And step 4 is dye the eggs. Dye the eggs. Dye the eggs. So I have step 1 and step 2, step 3 and step 4. Now, if you're copying everything that we're writing on here, because today is we're just showing you how to do an informational text, and that's fine. You can copy exactly what you see on my board. So if you're copying exactly what you see on my board, I've been very careful to start each of my sentences with a capital letter. I have good spacing, and then I have a punctuation mark at the end of each of my sentences. So they're ready to go in your book. So once you've written this in your notebook, we've already checked it. We're going to check it again tomorrow just to double check that we've got everything ready. But then you can add them to your book like I did here. I went ahead and added mine to my book. Now, as you're adding, you could add pictures, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, adding some pictures to go with our story. You could, to bind your book, you could do staples, or like some of you did, y'all punched holes with a hole punch, and you used ribbon to tie in the holes, and you kind of tied it up here and tied it up here. So you'd have ribbon here, and you were holding the book together that way. Tape is not really a great way to do it because it won't let you turn the pages very well. So I would suggest either stapling it or hole punching it and tying it together, however you want to make your book stay together. And so you've got your title, your name, and your front cover drawing. You would have each of your steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then on the last page, we actually have one more step to add. I said we only have 4 steps, but I got to thinking about it. After you dye your eggs and you make your eggs, why are you making your eggs? To hide them. So step 5, whoops, that's the wrong marker. Where's my marker? There it is. Step 5 would be hide the eggs. Because in our story, the Easter Bunny was he didn't know he was going to let the assistant help him hide the eggs, and he decided at the end to let him hide the eggs. So I said we had 5 steps. So what I did was the last 2 pages of my book, when you were going through your book, you have step 1 and 2, step 3 and 4, but then when I turned the page, I had 2 more pages. So I created step 5, which was hide the eggs. So I'm going to have my picture go over both pages. So I'm not going to write anything on this very last page. And you could write the end on the very back cover if you wanted to. But that is our informational book. So today, I want you to take your time, go back through the 2 steps we've already written, make sure they're written very neatly, and then you have step 3, step 4, and step 5 that you're putting in your notebook to add to your book as you make it. And some of you may be going, why are we writing this 2 different times? Well, in class, what you're doing is we're making the steps. We're showing step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Because in informational writing, you're writing facts or a how-to. This is a how-to book, how to dye eggs. So we're giving steps. You're giving the steps so people can follow those steps. So you're writing it in your notebook at first to make sure that you have all your steps in order. Because if you messed up and wrote step 1, step 2, and then went to, if you said hard boil the eggs, make dye for the eggs, hide the eggs, decorate the eggs with crayons, and then dye the eggs, that's out of order, and it doesn't make sense to the person reading your book. So this is another way, this is another organizational tool, that's a big word, that means I'm getting my thoughts in order. I'm putting my thoughts together. So you're writing it down in your notebook so that when you get ready to make your book, you're looking at, it's already written. You're not having to think about it and write it. It's already written and you're copying it into your book. And you've already done, so maybe you misspelled something and you had to fix it. Well, you've already done that. And you're not having to do a lot of erasing when you get to your final product, your book. So really take your time today when you're writing step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Put them in your notebook. If you want to go ahead after you write them in your notebook and start filling in your pages in your book, that's fine. If you want to wait to fill in your pages of your book till tomorrow, that's fine. We're just going to do these 5 steps, so we're not going to add anything tomorrow. Tomorrow will be all about editing and making sure your book is really nice. So really focus today on copying these correctly into your notebook. Because your notebook is going to be where you make all your mistakes and do your editing. Then your book, after you fixed everything in your notebook, you're just copying it into your book. That's the beauty of having this written down in another place before you get to your final copy. Because you don't want to do your final copy of your book and it's all erase marks and it just doesn't look very pretty. You want it to be a nice, finished copy of your book. So like when you see in my book, step 1, step 2, I don't have any big erase marks. Like I didn't make a mistake and I didn't write the wrong order. And the reason is because I was looking at my notebook where I wrote my steps down and I had already done that in my notebook. If I had to erase something, it's already been done in my notebook, not on the paper you're doing for final. So tomorrow, final publishing. So tomorrow we're going to be working on editing and double checking ourselves and really taking our time on our illustrations. So if you want to today, after you write it in your notebook, you can go ahead and transfer it to your book so that you would have it in your book. So tomorrow, I'm going to be working on just my illustrations in my book. And then on Thursday, I can publish my book. So I would love on Thursday to see videos of you reading your book to me. I cannot wait to see those. Those will be awesome because you guys are great readers. So I want you to take your time, write your steps in your notebook. That's a big step to do. Write it in your notebook. Then you can transfer it over to your book after you've made all your changes and stuff. So I want you to really think, really try hard. Take your time. That's the one beauty of all this distance learning. You have all the time in the world, so take your time. Okay? So take your time, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the editing process where we are putting our finishing touches for our publishing on Thursday. And I'll see you guys in a few minutes for math.